Let's be clear on one thing. The corporate media in our country is no longer involved in journalism. They're a political special interest, no different than any lobbyist or other financial entity with a total political agenda, and the agenda is not for you, it's for themselves.
Hey, what's happening? It's Bill Smith. Okay, we have some big breaking news. It's in the Q post. It's also in the real world simultaneously. Backpage.com and affiliated websites have been seized as part of an enforcement action by the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that's the FBI, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service, and the Internal Revenue Service Criminal Investigation Division, with analytical assistance from the Joint Regional Intelligence Center. Other agencies participating in or supporting the enforcement action include the U.S. Attorney's Office for the District of Arizona, Department of Justice Child Exploitation and Obscenity Section, U.S. Attorney's Office for Central California, Texas Attorney General. So this was a multi-pronged approach by several different government agencies, both at the state and federal level. This is huge. Now, if you don't know what Backpage is a classified advertising website launched in 2004. It's very similar to Craigslist. Backpage came under fire, though, starting in 2011 for allegations that their adult services subsection was used for prostitution and human trafficking, particularly involving minors, and that the company took insufficient steps to prevent these practices. After a series of court cases and the arrest of the company's CEO and other officials in early 2017, Backpage removed the adult services subsection from their website in the United States. On April 6, 2018, that's today, right now, Backpage was seized by the FBI under the Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act of 2017. Now, in early 17, Backpage took action after a court case and the arrest of their CEO and other officials. Now, today, a year later, April 6, 2018, they were seized by a new law. This is the new law. So this is from Congress.gov. It references H.R. 1865, named Allow States and Victims to Fight Online Sex Trafficking Act of 2017. The latest action was that it was presented to Donald Trump, the President of the United States, just 3 days ago and already put into play. If we go look at the actions taken on this, we go back to the very beginning. 1 year ago to the date, it was introduced in the House, right around the same time Backpage was having its CEO arrested, and they took action on their site to remove that subsection. So it spent a little bit of time in subcommittees, sat on there for a while, and about 6 months later, more action was taken on it. But then in mid-February, this thing was rolled through pretty quickly. Lots of action on it. Lots of action was taken in the Senate. So then the Senate took over in March, and then it was then signed and passed by the President. It's very, I have not seen too many of these things roll through that quickly. Most things die in subcommittee. So to see this new law get created right around the time that they were having an issue with Backpage, taking legal action on them, then Backpage took action to resolve that legality. Then a new law was instituted, and then 3 days after the new law is signed by the President, their entire site is shut down and taken. Now, Backpage is a nefarious site. Okay, I am not going to say anything good about them. I believe in freedom of speech under U.S. law and constitutional authority. So I think if you're doing things that violate the law, then you can't have a website. I know that's a gray area. That's just my personal opinion, though. I think they were doing things that are illegal, and I think that Congress wrote a law specifically to take them out. Specifically. So you can check their website, but it's down. I get a 504 gateway error timeout. And here's CBS News discussing it. Okay, literally, this was just minutes ago that this was posted. Fed sees classified ad site Backpage over sex trafficking ads. I'll leave the link in the description if you'd like to come and read this article. Now, with such a important sounding bill surrounding sex trafficking, especially with minors, I would think that I would have heard about this before. I would think that there would be lots of people in the House and Senate who, being the politicians they are, would like me to know that they are standing up for the abuse of women, particularly young women. But it's odd because I've never heard of this. I follow the news daily, and I also follow new laws pretty closely. And I've never heard of this. This has never popped up. Now, when I went to go look it up, I put Trump on the end there. So maybe that, challenged the results a little bit on the end. But I wanted to see him signing this. I wanted to see a news article of him signing this from earlier this week. And I couldn't find anything. I found some rebuttals to California's sanctuary state law not allowing the release of dangerous criminals. Found some other stuff. Here's some stuff on human trafficking. But the number one link was from the Columbia Journalism Review. I'm so sorry. It's like tongue twister day. Okay, but we check this out. Now, this woman is writing for a Columbia Journalism Review. Q&A with Melissa Gira Grant on how sex workers change the Stormy Daniels Sesta narratives. So this is all linked together. You can see how all these news stories all kind of congeal on each other. They're all just little parts, little pieces. But she makes some arguments from what I can tell in here, saying how these laws aren't good. And says, the legislation has broad support. I've never heard of it, but it has broad support, I guess. That's what she's saying. But sex workers and their advocates have energetically opposed them because while the bills aim to curb sex trafficking, along the way they also may put sex workers at greater risk. I think what they mean is legal risk. They'll say all kinds of other stuff. Now, I don't get this. In all of these different issues, someone says, you can't ask for people's immigration status because then people won't interact with the police. Well, they already don't interact with the police. And they would interact with the police if they had integrity in their lives and didn't have anything to hide. And the fact that they know they're here illegally is the reason why they won't do that. Now, I see the similar behavior on this kind of stuff. They say we want protections because you can't take any kind of moral ground against sex trafficking of minors. There's just no way to do that. But every once in a while, I hear someone with a leftist-leaning agenda who says things like, well, we need to protect the sex workers, and the best way to do that is to legalize their behavior, and then we can protect them with the law. Otherwise, they're doing stuff illegally, and they get taken advantage of. And anytime you want to bring that under a microscope, they'll say that's not good for sex workers somehow. I'm saying you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Okay? The law is not designed to protect you from doing something that's against the law and is already dangerous and probably not in your long-term benefit. So, I'm sorry, that doesn't really hold any traction for me. I want to bring this up. It's not really focused into what we're doing with this article right now. But I am for protection of all this stuff. I think that women should be protected. They should not be taken advantage of, especially girls 16, to 12 to 18, somewhere in that range. They can be preyed upon very easily, especially if they don't have the stability of a family around them or a support structure for people who know what's best and have their best interest at heart. But liberal activism seems to be slanted against that. Now, I've talked about Ruth Bader Ginsburg in the past. I think it's my number one video. But if you're new to me, if you're new to watching this material, or you didn't catch that, she is in favor of reducing the age of consent for sexual acts to people who are less than 12 years old. Now, she's held up as a hero of the left, as their main justice, a Supreme Court justice. She objects to laws against prostitution, because prostitution as a consensual act between adults is arguably within the zone of privacy protected by recent constitutional decisions. Again, this is a Supreme Court justice. So this is some big news today on the QAnon posts. I haven't been following them like as focused as I should. I honestly think that we've already crossed the threshold where my involvement is important anymore. I think this stuff has already gotten so big so quickly that it doesn't matter. People are going to find this information. They're going to talk about it. They're going to distribute it. We're mainstream now. So now, all kinds of people are going to come looking for this. So that's what's on Backpage today with nothing. Backpage, it's down. Feds took it down. Now, again, it's all back to the sex trafficking stuff. And I don't want to go in a million different directions in the same video here. Okay, but we talked about how we got a Supreme Court justice who's in favor of prostitution. She's in favor of lowering the age of consent to below 12. Okay, we have that person on the Supreme Court. This is what she looks like. Okay. She's from Brooklyn. Okay. She has a very interesting background. And her and the people that do not want to make America great, okay, the people that hate Trump, those people, this is a huge blow for them. Okay? They endorse sites like Backpage. They endorse that sort of behavior. That's what they're up to. So when something like that gets unraveled that quickly by a law that was passed specifically to unravel the specific instance called Backpage.com, you're making huge progress. Okay? Huge progress. And right now, she is throwing a fit. This woman is throwing a fit at the fact that they were able to take this offline. I guarantee you that. Now, after all of that, okay, after everything I showed you, how Ruth Bader Ginsburg wants to repeal the Mann Act, she's in favor of legalizing prostitution, she's in favor of legalizing pedophilia, why would they feel like right now is the right time to make a movie about her life? So if you didn't know this, if you missed this, they're bringing out a movie later this month called RGB, which details the life and times of U.S. Supreme Court Justice Ginsburg, with appearances by Miss Magazine co-founder Gloria Steinem and NPR journalist Nina Totenberg. I have a hard time getting my mind around the blatant hypocrisy that I see by the mainstream media. I think that's why people are turning them off. I think that's why they have to protect YouTube searches now. There's just a lot here to talk about, man. I could just go on and on and on about it. But for now, we'll just leave it there. So this is what's really important. This is breaking right now, okay? This is a problem. And this was basically the way that they could advertise illegal services to the general public. And without that advertising channel, now the services are going to be much more difficult to operate and to find new clientele for. So this is a big blow to the illegal underage prostitution that's been happening on Backpage. Now, I talked about how quick this happened. Okay, Q says right down here, it says, that didn't take long. Preparation, this was a strength test. For God and country, we fight for freedom. Thank you, Q. All right, thank you. And here's another reply. It says, this is to another post, but it says, that didn't take long. Border state, coincidence? Here we go. Breaking. Texas GOP Rep. Blake Farenthold abruptly resigns from Congress amid sexual misconduct allegations. So this is breaking. Again, literally just posted about 54 minutes ago, I think. But it says Congressman Blake Farenthold resigns months after sexual harassment settlement revelation. It doesn't talk about anything too bad in here. But it does talk about, they kind of allude to the Me Too sentiment of the country at this point, how that stuff is really frowned upon. So I bet they got him on something else. I think this is probably, he settled off the one thing they caught him on, but I think he probably resigned over something else, I'm guessing. That's a picture of him. He looks really creepy. That's all I'll say. So this has been big stuff, all right? The Q posts today have been revealing. There's been a lot of them. I haven't even talked about the Barack Obama stuff. Supposedly we're about to see him with an AK-47, but if you still think this guy's Christian after everything that we've been told, you're living on Mars. Or you're a liberal watching CNN. So hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe. Please share it if you feel the need. Till next time, this is Bill Smith. Thanks for watching.